morning. I'm Cheryl Mulloy, and I'm here at Community Christian to share a few of my thoughts with you. We kind of find ourselves in a pickle, don't we? I want to read a quote I ran across by Daniel Webster. It says, "If we abide by the principles taught in the Bible, our country will go on to prosper. But if we and our posterity neglect its instruction and authority, no man can tell how sudden a catastrophe may overwhelm us and bury all our glory in profound obscurity." As of this time, our country alone has lost over 66,000 people. That's more than 10,000 people, lives that were lost in the Vietnam War. And that's just been in the space of a few weeks. When I realized what was happening in the world and in our country, my first thought was of 2 Chronicles 7, verses 13 and 14, which God says, "When I shut up the heavens so that there is no rain, or command locusts to devour the land, or send a plague among my people. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and I will heal their land." Now I think most of us are trying to do all the common sense things that we can to avoid getting the virus and spreading the virus that we know is fatal to some people. But the most important thing that we Christians, we're called by Christ's name, can do is to humble ourselves and pray. Americans are not real good at being humble. We're a proud people. But if we think about who we are and who God is, that's a humbling experience. It's our obligation, our responsibility as Christians to do this, to follow God's instructions and take seriously our responsibility to admit our sins. And you're probably thinking, well, I'm not such a big sinner, but all of us are. We struggle daily with our human nature and our sin. But God also made us an awesome promise. In addition to giving us these instructions, He made a promise to us through Paul in Romans 8:28. And this has been a life verse of mine since I was 20 years old. "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." That's you and I. That's God's Christian people. And He's promised to work all things to our good. I don't know how He can work the coronavirus to our good. Maybe He's using us to turn us back to Him, to make us realize who is in control, that it's His world. You know, I think when He gave us America, it was no less of a big deal than giving the Israelites the promised land. We have been a land flowing with milk and honey. We have had wonderful, unspeakable natural resources. And God, I believe, put our founding fathers here for the specific purpose, the framers of the Constitution. You know, I always heard the question asked in history classes, do men make the times or the times make the men? I think God put Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin and John Hancock and all those founding fathers here in place at one time for the specific purpose of giving his people who came here for religious freedom. And when we respected that, when we followed that, when we understood that, God blessed us in so many ways. A very few people are left who remember World War II. Most of the World War II veterans are gone now. There are a few here. But they know, and if we've studied history, we know that we relied on America being a Christian country to win that war and to win our democratic destiny. But it's not a permanent destiny. It depends on what we do and our recognition of who gave it to us and not take it for granted. Jesus expects things from us. God expects things from us. And there's so little in comparison to what he's given us. I just want to finish with this quote from C.S. Lewis, who was a noted scholar and Christian apologist and an author. He wrote such books as the wonderful children's trilogy, The Chronicles of Narnia. He wrote Mere Christianity, a Christian book of apologetics, what Christianity is, why I believe God, why I believe Jesus was God's Son. He also wrote the Screwtape Letters. Well, I ran across this quote on Facebook. C.S. Lewis wrote this in 1942. It sounds like it was written yesterday. Satan says, I will cause anxiety, fear, and panic. I will shut down businesses, schools, places of worship, and sport events. I will cause economic turmoil. But Jesus says, I will bring together neighbors, restore the family unit. I will bring dinner back to the kitchen table. I will help people slow down their lives and appreciate what really matters. I will teach my children to rely on me and not on the world. I will teach my children to trust me and not their money and material possessions.